Ladies and gentlemen, men and boys, girls and women, welcome tonight to the psychology of the sale, the moment that you've been waiting for all day long. That's right. This is the doctor of insurance. He's taking house calls tonight, 24/7 at your beckoning call, here to answer all your questions, solve all your sales aches and pains, and bring a remedy to the table so that you can close more sales, bless more lives, and impact the community in which you live. It is March 27th, 2023. I'm Gary Keith, the Doctor of Insurance, coming to you live from beautiful spring-like weather in Raleigh, North Carolina. So great to have everybody on the call tonight. I hope you're ready. Your pen is poised. You know, they often say that one dull pencil is better than two sharp minds. It is the truth. So get in the habit of taking notes, because you can go back and look and study and reflect. This is more like a college course, if you will. It's like a community class that you go in and actually take notes, you participate in, you ask questions, you give your feedback, and you fine tune, you hone your skills, and you become almost perfect at this game we call selling life insurance. So welcome tonight, everybody. It's good to have you on board here. Thanks for all the newbies as well. And thank you for our leadership team in the company, the partners, for making this possible. Thank them for their faith and their belief in me and teaching this class and this course. I can promise you one thing: if you'll take the principles that I am sharing with you tonight and the future Monday nights and make them part of your presentation, make them part of your repertoire, if you will, and make them part of what you're saying and doing, you will become better at not only presenting, but also closing the sale, and been able to impact families and been able to help a lot of people in your community, and also increase your bank account. So with that in mind, let's see what you learned last week. I told you I'm going to give you tests and quizzes to see how much you're retaining. See, it does me no good if I'm just teaching stuff and shooting hot air into the wind and nobody's learning and growing and getting better. The only way this works is if you're applying the principles that I teach you. So you can use your chat button and type in the answers to these questions so that we can control the noise and not everybody's just jumping out and speaking at one time. So do me a favor, get your chat button ready, get your fingers ready on your device, and we're going to take a quiz on last week's information. This is called the Psychology of the Sale quiz. It was our introduction to what we're doing. Question 1. Everybody ready? The scientific study of the human mind and its function, especially those affecting behavior, is known as what? Last week's recording. So Sarah's needing last week's recording, was in the chat line there, Rob. So if you could help her with that, that would be amazing.
Are you sharing the screen with us, Gary?
No.
Okay.
You're just looking at me now, my beautiful face.
Okay, I'm looking.
Isn't it awesome? Thank you so much. All righty, Joe is right. It's called psychology. That's a study of the human mind and its functions and those affecting behavior. You want to know that because you are in this type of business where you're affecting the human mind, its function, and the behavior. That's why psychology of the sale is so important. I mean, I can read you books on many things. You can do motivational books, inspirational books, and those are all great and fine and dandy. I recommend them. But unless you're doing a little bit of psychology of the sale, which is the business that you're in, you're not going to improve that much because this affects human behavior. And I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor. I don't play with insurance on TV. Even though I call myself the doctor of insurance, I'm really not. We defined last week what doctor is, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So great job, Taiwan, Roderick, and your answer. Number 2. The exchange of a commodity for money is known as what? The exchange of a commodity for money is known as what? Roger is quick on the draw. So is Joe. So is Taiwan. It's called a sale. That's what we do. The difference is ours is not tangible. It's intangible. So we have to bring it to life. And that's why psychology of the sale is so important. They'll teach you how to bring this sale to life. Because you're exchanging a commodity, which is something you can't touch, smell, see, you can't hear it. That's why you've got to be able to affect the human mind and the behavior so they'll buy it. So sale is the answer. Good job, guys. Number 3, A qualified person who gives advice or makes improvements is known as whom? A qualified person who gives advice or makes improvements is known as whom? And that's how I straddle the line on the gray area of getting away with calling myself the doctor of insurance. Because one of the definitions way down the list on the Webster Dictionary is, you got it, guys, doctor. A qualified person who gives advice or makes improvements. In this case, it could be a mentor, it could be advisor, but we're going to be calling it the doctor of insurance. Number 4, see how much you retained from last week. A thing providing protection against a possible eventuality is what? A thing providing protection against a possible eventuality is what? You got it, Roderick and Lester and Joe. It's insurance. That's the business we're in. The difference in this definition for us, though, it's not a possible eventuality. It's a for sure eventuality. Because unless you know something about yourself that I don't know, we're all going to move on and pass on from this life into something or somewhere else, in my personal opinion. Insurance is the answer. Good job, Taiwan. Number 5, the science of consumer behaviors, emotions, and thought processes is known as what? The science of consumer behaviors, emotions, and thought processes is known as what? Dun, 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 dun. Who can do that for me? Who can do Jeopardy? That's where we're at right now. Oh, good job. Roderick, man, paid attention, took some notes last week. It's called sales psychology or psychology of the sale. That's the science we're talking about. The words you use matter. The words you say make a difference. That's why it's important that we choose our words correctly. That's the sales psychology. Number 6. People love to buy, but hate to be blank. Man, look at that. Lester, Joe, Janet, Taiwan, Roderick, Taiwan. So the question begs, how can we make this presentation and this what we're offering to people a place where they love to buy, where they enjoy it? When people go to see things they really want and they're salivating for it, how do we get to that point? That's what we talk about in sales psychology. Number 7. Good job, gentlemen and ladies. Number 7, learning to create a buying atmosphere instead of a blank. We need to learn to create a buying atmosphere instead of a blank. Selling atmosphere. Great, Janet. I call it a selling environment, but selling atmosphere is perfect. Yes, we're to learn to create that buying atmosphere. So many salespeople don't realize that they're creating a buying atmosphere by their body language, by their tone, by the words they use, by how they come across. Who was it teaching us recently? I think it was Lester and Matt on a Friday call about showing respect to the people that we are engaged with and not getting in arguments about silly stuff that doesn't even really matter. I mean, I'm in the heart of basketball country, and I know Rob Boyd appreciates that. And I've ridden with salespeople, and they want to get in arguments about Duke, Carolina, NC State, Wake Forest basketball with the clients. And I'm sitting there thinking, this doesn't even matter. You're not only losing the battle, you're losing the war. Stop it. And they feel like they got to persuade people to believe in whatever color they bleed in with basketball. I'm like, no way. So we talking about that. Number 8, way to go, Taiwan, UNC, baby. Hopefully they're better next year than this year. All righty, number 8, the process of communicating non-verbally through conscious or unconscious gestures and movements is called what? The process of communicating non-verbally through conscious or unconscious gestures is known as what? Come on. What is that known as? Because it's 93% of your communication. And you got it right, guys and gals. Michael, body language, Taiwan, Joe, yes. It is body language. You can tell a lot about a person, their interest level, their non-interest level, if they're going to buy, not buy, like you, not like you, respect you, not respect you, by not what they're saying, actually what they're doing with their feet, their hands, their face, their torso, their toes, everything. Number 9. Thank you, Linda. Good job. Hey, beautiful girl, how are you? Number 9, tonality and body language account for what percentage of the way we communicate? Tonality and body language account for what percentage? Great job, Joe. 93%. So if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, if it's that high, why aren't we talking more about that? I get it. We teach scripting, important. We teach presentation, important. We teach words to say, important. But how much do we teach on tonality and body language? In my experience, in my career, very little. That's why we got this class. I want to help you with that. Had to learn it, had to understand it, had to consume it, had to digest it, had to live it, had to breathe it. And I want to help you take a little shortcut through this class. I want to help you get better with that. I'm going to tell you, you'll close a lot more sales when you understand it. And you're so right, Linda. Eye contact is extremely important, extremely, in what we do. Number 10, people may not remember what you said, but they will never forget how you made them blank.
Feel.
Excellent. Feel is the answer, people. Nice job. Isn't that interesting? All this jibber jabbering that I'm doing right now and that we all typically do in our sales process. But the post that Janet makes a lot of times has very little to do with what she's saying, as she's caring for people. She's buying them something. She's providing them a service. She's giving them maybe a lift somewhere. She's dropping in unannounced and showing how much she loves and cares for them. She prays with them. All of those gestures that she's doing, no wonder she's got an amazing clientele that loves her, stays with her, wants to refer her, because she makes them feel very important. And ladies and gentlemen, that's not something you can buy with money. That's something you cannot buy with money. So good job, Janet. All righty, number 11. We got only 12. Blank and blank are just two parts in tonality and making our voice unique. You won't know this or you won't remember it, I bet. Let me see. Blank and blank are just two parts to tonality and making our voice unique. What is that makes our voice unique? There's two parts to it. Do you remember what they were? Inflection and emphasis, voice inflection. Yep. I'm liking it. We're getting there. In the technical terms, they call it punching and elongating.
Right.
But emphasis is right. Inflection is right. Those are all synonyms of what they're saying. Punching. Remember we talked about last week on someone who says the real benefit of coaching is better results. When you go like the real benefit to coaching is better results, or you could go the real benefit. So anytime you emphasize a certain word by elongating or inflection or emphasis or punching, it makes it stand out with people a whole lot more, but versus just the real benefit to coaching is there's nothing there. It's just blasé, it's dry, it's unimportant. People aren't going to remember it. You bore them to death and put them to sleep. Using inflection, emphasis, elongating. All right, number 12. Tonality is a crucial part of blank as it portrays a person's character through a non-visual medium. Tonality is a crucial part of blank as it portrays a person's character through a non-visual medium. What could that be? Janet, you got it. It's communication. It is a very important part of communication, because it will portray your character. Isn't that interesting? You're telling me you can size up my character in a great way by my tonality. Huh, interesting. I'm going to share with you experience, and we'll jump into our training today. I was seeing Miss Betty last week, beautiful lady. She was a hoarder, and we've all seen those. And she only had paths to her bedroom and to her kitchen. So she wanted to sit on the front porch, which I'm fine with that, no problem. The weather is beautiful. I had not said 24 words to this woman. She was doing all the talking, which is fine. And all of a sudden she popped up and said, not less than 24 words. She said, I feel like you are a Christian person. Now, you don't have to be a Christian person to do this business. You don't even have to believe in God to do this business. That's not the point here. She had felt in the first 5 minutes, and I hadn't even said 24 words to her, that I connected with her on a Christian way or Christian basis or a character-filled way or a good way or some person with high morals and values way. I was sitting there just standing there listening to her after I said, yes, ma'am, I am. And she went on to tell me her story and stuff. And my mind it was gone then. What did I just do or say that portrayed that to her? Because in my mind, she'd already not bought insurance. People aren't buying a product, they're buying you. So if that's the case, what did I do? It wasn't what I said. I hadn't even said 24 words to her. No more than, hello, how you doing? I hope you're doing well today, Miss Betty. I'm here about the insurance appointment or whatever. Less than 24 words. Is the way I carried myself. Now, I can't tell people how to carry themselves, but it's also my demeanor, which is nonverbal. It's my posture, which is nonverbal. It's what Linda said. It was my eye contact. It was my tonality. She felt a kinship with this. This is what I'm trying to teach you. You will no longer create a buying atmosphere anymore. I'd already set the stage, not even said anything, for a selling atmosphere. People forget what you say, but they never forget how you made them feel. So my posture, language, eye contact, tonality, few words I said, let her know that I was a good person, quote unquote. A person she could trust is a better way to put it. That is what we're accomplishing through the psychology of the sale. It has nothing to do with, well, let me get started here today and go into this presentation and let's rock and roll with this thing. Nope. Although those things can be important, but not near as important as what you're not saying and not what you're doing. That's what we're teaching here in this class. So with that in mind, you think right now that you're ready to jump into that presentation. I know you are. You think you're ready to do that. No, you're not. You're not ready to do that until you understand your market. Who's your market? Who are the people that you are seeing every day? Because once you understand that, then you know how to choose your words, how to select your words, what stories to tell, what type of body language to use, what's your tonality, how you do your punching, your elongating, all those things. Let me give you an example. About 25, 30 years ago, I was starting out in the long-term care insurance business. I'm a 35-year-old kid or young man, if you will. I'm talking to 60, 65, 70-year-old men and women who got some assets. I'm selling long-term care insurance to them. I'm just a young whippersnapper in their eyes. I hadn't been through anything what they'd been through in their life. I had not walked a mile in their shoes. So there's perhaps people in this call right now who are in their 20s and 30s are going like, how can I relate to the senior market? I said the same thing. These men and women have come out from World War II generation. They knew more about life and forgotten more about life than I'd probably ever know. And I'm sitting here talking to a grown man who's in his 60s who's got some pretty decent assets. And I'm trying to tell him as a 35-year-old kid wet behind his ears that he needs to get some long-term care insurance to protect what he has. Why? Why should I? What do you know about me? And they had a little bit of an attitude, and they had shrapnel all up and down their body, and they had missing limbs and fingers and toes, and they couldn't half hear and see and all this stuff. They had been to places I'd never even dreamed of being. They had fought for things I'd never desired to fight for. They had laid it out on the line for me. And here I am trying to tell them what to do. Who are you? You don't understand my generation. You don't understand my family. You don't understand what I sacrificed and gave up. And you come waltzing into my house telling me to spend $400 a month on a long-term care insurance policy to protect my assets. Huh, yeah, right. And you know what? That was the feedback and the attitude I sort of got. I'm saying to myself, I believe in this product. I saw my mother, what she went through taking care of my aunt with Alzheimer's. It ended her life. It didn't end her life, but it might as well ended my mom's life because she had no life. We stayed home and took care of Aunt Alma while Aunt Alma had Alzheimer's, right, like a little 2-year-old who was about to burn the place down. I believed in it, but how can I get that across? The first thing I started doing was studying the World War II generation. I became an avid lover of World War II. I did. I couldn't get enough of it. I started watching documentaries. I started checking books out of a library. Does anyone know what that is? Oh, a library, yeah. That's a place where they house books and you go, oh yeah, you can check them out. Okay, well, never mind. But anyway, this library place that has books. I bought Tom Brokaw's book. Does anyone know what Tom Brokaw, who he is and what he wrote about? Anybody? Put it on the chat line. Tom Brokaw. You're right, Linda. Finding commonality. But I knew I was not going to succeed in my business until I learned this generation. Okay, he did news, Michael Kearns, you're right. He's a news anchor. But anybody know the name of the book that he wrote? Anybody? There you go, Andrea. I don't know who she is, but absolutely correct. I love that book called The Greatest Generation. Someone said, go get it, Gary. If you want to learn about this generation, go read it. And I did. And I went and picked out the book called The Millionaire Next Door. Why? These people are millionaires sitting around in these old homes. They don't look like millionaires. They're walking around like just average Joe and Jane on the street. They look broke. But they're unlike us. They're not flashy. They don't spend money like the generation after them. They don't wear their stuff on their chest and their sleeves. They put it in the bank and they save it because they come through hard times. I had to learn this stuff about how they tick and how they thought and what made them go. I said to myself, this is amazing. I remember the day. You listen to the book, oh yeah, it's just a great book, yeah. I remember the day I walked into the movie theater in the late 90s with Tom Hanks. Does anybody remember the movie about the World War II generation?
Tom Hanks.
Anybody? I was blown away by the surround sound and being in that room. Yes, Joe, Saving Private Ryan. And I'm going to tell you, I'm sitting there like on the edge of my seat.
Knows it, but he just stepped out.
Tears coming down.
Oh, Saving Private Ryan, is that it?
That's it. Saving Private Ryan. Have you ever seen it, Janet?
Right, I did, and Rob just watched it, I think, on the plane again on the way home from Dallas, I think.
That's about that. Great movie, just amazing. Of course, that's nothing compared to what these men and women went through, but it gives you a little bit of a glimpse into their life. And so I'm sitting there going like, man, I want to walk a mile in their shoes, even though I know I never will. But I want to be able to relate to them. I want to be able to, because I feel like I owe them something that I'll never be able to repay them for what they did for me. And so I just began to dig and search and grow into documentaries and stuff I could read. And then next thing you know, I'm looking at news articles and magazine articles about people who are waiting too long to prepare for long-term care stays and they're losing all their assets. I remember the day I read about Christopher Reeve. He loved horses. He got on his horse, went for a ride, got thrown off, and became paralyzed. That's really sad. Superman. And I began to tell these stories that if it could happen to Superman, it can happen to anybody. But the even sadder part was Christopher Reeve went through all his assets and money for his care. Fortunately, he had a good friend who stepped in to help pay some of his bills. Does anyone remember who that was? Another great actor, Robin Williams, stepped in to help Christopher Reeve pay a lot of his medical bills in his latter years. And I began to gather these stories and tell things like this, and understand the World War II generation. I say all this, and I'm not going to brag, but I'll tell you, I became, the top 5 writer of long-term care insurance in the country for this company because I took the time to study, to get to know them, to walk around in their shoes. Now, as a 35-year-old kid, when I walked into a 65, 75-year-old man's home and he started talking about his stuff, I could relate to him. I could look him in the eyes. I can feel what he felt. I could understand what he was saying. I could feel the goosebumps on my arms, and I could have an appreciation and a love for the shrapnel in his body and the missing of digits on his hands or toes, and I could sit there and just have that conversation, and I could relate to my story about Aunt Alma and her Alzheimer's, and about other family members with long-term care stays. And I sold a ton of long-term care insurance, and I helped a lot of people the same way with that. Now, so when I came into final expense sales or other type of sales, I did the same thing. So tonight, this is what's going to be your lesson. Do you know your market? Do you know Miss Betty? Do you understand Mr. Billy? Or are you up here and Miss Betty's here? Or is Miss Betty here and you're here? Are you on the same playing field? Or are you speaking the same language? Do they feel you before you say a word? And that's what we're going to accomplish tonight with understanding this group of people. Let me see if I can bring up my document. Now, mine's called the 10 steps, but it's all part of the 5 steps that we use at Retirement Income Life. I've had this for years before, but we're covering the same stuff. I just broke it down into even smaller bite-sized pieces, but the 5 steps is the same. We're doing the same stuff. Here we go. Can everybody see that okay? Everybody get prepared to read, because I might call upon you to do some reading for me. Okay, let's see who we got here tonight. Where is my participants? I can't even see where they are. Okay, I know you're here somewhere. How do I get a line of participants all on one side? That way I can call on people. Darn it. I know there's a way to do that. Okay. All right, let's go. I'll kick it off. After almost 30 years in the insurance business, the final expense market has become my most favorite product. I have personally spent the last decade solely dedicated to this product and market, with over 10,000 people a day turning 65, and with ages 80 and over being the fastest growing segment in the country. This market is here to stay for a long, long time. This thing is like a fast moving freight train, and you couldn't stop if you wanted to. I say, hop on and enjoy the ride. All right, Janet, can you read the next paragraph for us, please?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, with that in mind, it makes for a very stable and lucrative career in the insurance industry. It seems no matter what is going on in the stock market, political arena, or world affairs, the final expense market just keeps chugging along at a very steady and consistent pace. It's the very reason I have committed and dedicated my life over the past several decades to this market, this clientele, and this product. As a result, my clients can feel my passion, my love and sincerity toward them. Not only do they buy today, but they keep it, renew it, and buy more later for themselves and their family. So true.
Isn't that our goal ultimately,
Amazing.
right?
Yeah.
And you experience that, Janet, and so do you, Rob, and others on this call, that you want to be stable, lucrative, and you want to be long-term and build a relationship. Our competitors, ladies and gentlemen, please don't get caught into this. They're into the wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They're into who's next? Who's next? And they're chasing leads, chasing people. I'm not. I know Janet's not. I know others are not. I'm there to build a relationship. And so I'm taking my time with them. And we're doing the things like branding ourselves and giving them things and sending them cards and calling them up and stopping by. And that's how you build relationships. And that's what we're all about. Okay, let's move on next to Taiwan. Are you in a position to read?
Yeah.
All right, how about go do that next paragraph?
Allow me to take a moment and share with you the background and demographics of the market so you can gain an appreciation of who it is we are serving. As a result, you are getting in right mindset of this market, loving the clientele and coming across as family. A potential large and lucrative income awaits you on the other side.
Taiwan, thank you. Hope you paid attention to right mindset, loving this clientele. You know, when I saw Miss Baby last week, in the less than 24 words I said to her, I think she felt I cared and I loved her. That is something you can't teach, you can't buy with money, you can't put into words. It's a feeling. That's why people never forget how you made them feel. That's the reason. Forget the polished presentation, although that's important, but forget it. That's a byproduct. That's a sideline. This is stuff right here. That's your deep closing people right here. People are closing 75% and above right here. Right mindset, which is caring of the market, loving this clientele, and come across like you're one of them. That's it. Then notice the money follows. Money doesn't come first. As Zig Ziglar says, you help enough other people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. So true. All righty. Let's go on into our bullet points. Lester, are you in a position to read bullet point 1?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's zoom in. You will be serving Middle America and below on the economic totem pole. You want just the first bullet point?
Just the first one. Thank you
Got
so
it.
much. So since you're in the final expense market, ladies and gentlemen, you understand who you're dealing with. We are serving Middle America. We're not serving my long-term care clients. That's a different mindset, body language, tonality, stories I'm going to tell. If I'm doing IUL sales, that's a little different. If I'm doing mortgage packages, that's a little different. The final expense, we want to understand this, that they're Middle America below an economic totem pole. And that's where they are. So they need something they can afford, that makes sense to them. They're not talking about maybe insuring their home because probably they're renting in a lot of cases. They're talking about just getting up for the burial insurance or final expense insurance policy. Not always, but typically that's where they are. All right, let's take a look at the next one here. All right, Rob Appel, can you read next bullet point?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Lester just did, you'll be serving Middle America, right?
Correct.
So this clientele is typically between the ages of 55 and 85.
Okay, so what does that tell us, Rob, about this market? They're between those ages. What does that say to us?
Well, they're seniors, of course, but they're generally going to be Generation X and baby boomers.
That's correct. And to tag onto that, they're probably usually home during the day, right?
Yeah.
Typically. Now, I sold a lot of long-term care insurance across the kitchen table at the night times because I'm seeing people a lot of times, you know, they could still be working. But a lot of these are home during the day, which is great. All righty, let's move on next to our next bullet point, which is Benita. Are you in a position to read?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
This market typically doesn't drive fancy cars, live in elegant homes, or dress in stylish clothes.
Okay, so I want to understand that about my market. So I don't have to dress with a suit and tie and a jacket and a coat, and I don't have to look like I just walked off of Wall Street or jump out of GQ magazine or the Vanity Fair magazine. I don't have to look like that. I can dress down a little bit to kind of match my clientele. I mean, if you want to drive a fancy car you can, but I would feel a little uncomfortable. Me personally, I like driving a little bit of an old beater, if you will, to my appointments. I like showing up and just being myself, the old country boy from South Carolina. And maybe that's not who you are, but that's how I come across. And I'm low key and I'm unassuming. And of course, I'm jumping to the next one, but they don't usually drive that. Now, even in the long-term care market, when I sold a bunch of it, Mr. and Mrs. Jones were driving old Buicks, probably 10, 15, 20 years old. Because if you read the book called The Millionaire Next Door, that's how they became millionaires. They didn't spend their money. They came through a tough generation. They saved everything. I mean, my mother, bless her heart, when she would empty a loaf of bread out of a bag and it was done, she would save the plastic bag it came in to store other stuff with it. She would save the twist tie that came on it. I said, Mom, why are you saving all this stuff? We might need it for something. Okay, Mom, if that makes you feel good, please do it. They didn't throw things away. They kept it. And that's how they became millionaires, a lot of them. That's why they passed on a lot of money to the next generation. They didn't drive fancy stuff. They made the old stuff work. Okay. We need to understand this about a market. Daniel, are you in a position to read the next bullet point?
No, I'm on the phone, sorry.
No, no worries. All right, Andrea, are you in a position? Okay, how about Edwin?
Sure.
Thank you.
Which trying to I have to zoom in on my phone to
They-
do it.
They are humble.
They are humble, salt of the earth, and unassuming kind of people for the most part.
Yeah. When you hear the word humble or salt of the earth or unassuming, what jumps out to your mind? Anybody? Michael Kearns, you on here? You've heard the term salt of the earth.
Yeah, sure.
That's a biblical term. That's where I got it from. What is that?
Well, that's dangerous, right? You're asking me.
Keep it within
Well,
30
we'll
seconds.
keep it
or
brief.
less.
Yeah. Well, we think about salt. I mean, salt is a preservative.
Yeah.
Salt gives flavor.
Mm.
Salt adds something to what would otherwise be plain.
Mm.
Couple
Love it.
thoughts there.
Love it. Love it. Yes, that's absolutely right. What the good book says something of the fact that what good is it salt if it's lost its savor, right?
Yes.
Right. I mean, if it's lost its flavor, what is it? So they're that humble kind of people. They've been around the block a time or two. You're not going to pull the wool over their eyes. Where I live, you got to think about where you live. A lot of them are blue collar, or and of course I'll hit that more later, or maybe farming background. So they're unassuming, and I like that. It's my kind of people. All righty. Who's next on here? Joe, next bullet point, please.
They are typically retired and disabled and live on Social Security income.
What does that say about this market?
They live on a low income.
They do. Anything else it says?
They're home.
They're home. Yes, absolutely. In the
So they're-
political arena, what does this say?
In the what arena?
Political.
Conservative.
Democratic.
Yes. That's one side. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of it. But it also says politicians are always making sure they do not touch what? You start mentioning the word touching Social Security and disability income, and that is taboo. That'll get you unelected as a politician in a heartbeat. So it says to me it's guaranteed income.
Right.
Guaranteed income. That's good. You want that. So one of the first things I do when I get a lead of someone, they're in their 50s, the first thing that pops in my mind is, are they working still or are they on disability? I got one recently. She was not on disability and she was looking for work. Guess how long that presentation lasts? Real quickly, I was out the door, tried to get a referral and moved on. No income, nothing you can do. Don't beat your head up against the wall unless you want to practice your presentation. So it teaches me that disability, Social Security, guaranteed income, I've got someone to see. Politicians aren't going to touch it. They're afraid to. I'm not saying that's always the case, but it's always been the case in my lifetime.
No income is 2-minute max.
Amen, brother. All righty, let's see who we got next on here. Jasmine, are you in a position to read?
Yes.
They get paid once a month?
Yeah, they get paid once a month, either the first or the third day of each month, or on the first, second, or third Wednesday of each month.
Excellent, thank you. This is important. Now, when I first started selling final expense, I'm telling you what, companies did not do Social Security draft, or they didn't match it up. That was tough. But now that I know they get paid on the first or third or first, second or third Wednesday, we can match it with that. Sometimes Miss Betty, Jasmine, and others, they're going to try to convince you, well, listen, I get my money on the third. Why don't you go ahead and just do this a day later, the fourth or the fifth, to make sure it's in the bank? What do we do with that, Rob Appel? Can't hear you.
There we go. I'm sorry. No, it's got to be on the third. It's got to be the day they get it. If it's not, that they will not make that payment.
Yes, and you can blame it on Social Security or the bank. Yeah, you know what? They want to match it directly with Social Security. That's how they pay it, and that's how they do it, Miss Betty. So we'll match it directly for you. Don't get caught in that, ladies and gentlemen, of listening to Miss Betty go the fourth or the fifth. All right, to speed up things a little bit, I'm going to read a couple because I don't want to keep you too not long. I've been out in the field all day, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. Here's what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen. They woke up one morning at the age of 55 or 60 or 65. This is going to start creating the need for you. And they realize, gosh, I have no life insurance. They had coverage on their job and it expired when they retired and became disabled. Unfortunately, their group plan was not portable or was too expensive to continue individually. So if you're brand new, this needs to register in your brain that they woke up. This is the reason why the need right now. This is the reason why they're looking for it. They're sending multiple cards in. They're begging. They're calling TV commercials. They're asking people, can I get life insurance? Where can I get it? That's what makes the market so amazing, is the need is so high because they sort of procrastinated all those years. Now, if you run into a few people who say, well, I'm 55 and I'm still working and I got insurance on my job, just remember, it's not portable in most cases. They're going to lose it when they retire. You still have a need there. You want to get them a policy they control. Next bullet point. Many did not plan earlier with a personal policy in which they had full control. There's the need. This must be understood. Now they have two things working against them: their age and their health. And that bullet point, if you're taking notes, this is where you create urgency. That's your urgency thought process, mindset. Miss Betty, you got two things working against you, unfortunately. Miss Betty, you're getting older, not getting any younger, even though you're looking really good right now. And your health is probably the best today, Miss Betty, and it'll probably ever be going down the road. You got two things working against you. That's why we need to take action as soon as possible. This becomes your urgency mindset right here. Now, unfortunately, many have developed diabetes, heart issues, stroke, COPD, cancer, etc., and have a hard time qualifying for life insurance. There's a need factor. Their health is not that good anymore. Many of your blue chip insurance companies and high-end market agents won't give this clientele the time of day. You're not going to see MetLife agents out there, New York Life agents outside of AARP who happens to underwrite it for them. But you're not going to see a New York Life regular agent out there, Northwestern Mutual, all you big blue chip companies. No way. They're passing by the Miss Bettys and Mr. Billies of the world every day, all day long. They don't want it. I do. They're the most underserved market, and the service they usually get buying life insurance through the mail or TV is often not right for them. Somebody on this call, give me an example of a policy they buy through the mail or TV that is not right for them. Anybody, give me an example.
Colonial Penn.
Globe Life.
Globe Life.
AARP.
Excellent. Why isn't Colonial Penn good for them typically?
2-year wait.
Guaranteed.
It's always guaranteed.
Guaranteed issue. And you're buying units, which is much more expensive than buying it per thousand. Miss Betty, I used to say this all the time. I miss having him on the TV commercial, Alex Trebek. Miss Betty, you're paying for Alex Trebek to be on this TV commercial. I don't even know who advertises for him now. I miss having him on there. He was a well-known name. Somebody said Globe Life. You're absolutely right. You're buying term life insurance, going up on you every 5 years, and it's going to end when you get down the road. Absolutely correct. So you're right. There's things you're buying through the mail or TV that is not right for them. Excellent. Because of their humility and need for help, you will find yourself receiving, Janet can relate to this, more hugs, more tears, and more food than you could ever imagine. I'm sure Linda experiences the same situation as that. That's why I love this market. They give you their life, their shirt off their back, invite you for food, and you better not turn it down. You better eat it and enjoy it. I've had some of the best meals.
I did turn it down one time, but the guy I was with, he ate it, and it was pig's knuckles.
Dude, I grew up eating those. You don't even know what that is.
I'm a northerner. I'm not eating that.
On the chat line, give me a thumbs up if you know what pig knuckles are and have eaten them before. Anybody, give me a thumbs up if you've eaten pig knuckles. Anybody? I have. I grew up in the country, South Carolina. No thanks. No,
In
sir. Melvin,
fairness,
come on, man.
Andrea's a
Somebody
New
some
Yorker,
love.
in fairness, though.
Anybody eating pickled pig feet? I can't be by myself. Come on, anybody.
Hey, Gary, the guy I was with, he sucked them down like they were donuts. I'm telling you, he loved them. He asked for seconds, and I was like, God.
Ask for seconds.
Yeah.
No, I'm not eating any feet.
They're awful. Oh my God.
Somebody's dad trying to get them to do it. Is that Joe?
That's fine.
Sarah's not eating any feet. Joe's dad trying to get him to do it. No way. Taiwan, no. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. There's nobody on here who's had that to eat. That's horrible, guys. You need to try that before you move on from this life. It'll be good for you. Oh, Linda. Yes, Linda has. Way to go, Linda. I need your support. You're awesome. No wonder we get
I'm a
along so
country
well
girl.
together.
Country girl. We used to kill it all, eat it all.
Right? You eat everything on a hog.
Everything.
Yes, there you go. There we go. I knew we had to have somebody. All right, next bullet point. I have found it to be the best referral generating market in the industry. I'll stack it up. I've been in insurance for 30 years, sales for 40 years. Nobody refers better than the final expense market. Nobody. And I will stack it up and I'll challenge anyone. Many of them have had to be responsible for collecting money to bury a loved one, and they don't want that to happen again. As a result, they're always encouraging their family members to buy or increase their life insurance. It's constantly, underline that word if you're taking notes, on their minds and a topic of discussion around their family. Are you getting a glimpse of this market? You know another reason why you don't stay in touch with your clients on a regular basis? because it's on their mind constantly, adding on more insurance. And if they haven't seen you for a year, 2, 3, guess who they're going to buy it from? Me. Because I'm going to be in that house, or someone else. That's why you got birthday cards going out. That's why you've got thank you notes going out. That's why you got Christmas cards going out, or whatever holiday card you celebrate. Because it's on their mind often. That is one of the first things I have learned early on, my first year in this business, and it's a cash cow. Stay in front of them. Love the one you're with. I have found this clientele to be a God-fearing, church-going, faith-based people with a good heart. Now, that's in North Carolina, and the Carolinas and Virginia in particular. I don't know about maybe other parts of the country, but in the Southeast, that is absolutely amen, 100% correct. In addition, they typically have a farmer blue collar background. You have to understand this right here. That's why when Miss Betty said to me the other day, you come across to me as a Christian man. I didn't even say anything to her about that or anything else. But you're in the Bible Belt here. And whether you're a Christian or not, or whether you like the Bible or not, or whether you like God or not, this clientele here, for the most part, is this. They are. And so if you aren't, then find a way to work around that. Find a way to fit that into who you are. Let them know that you're a good person, moral person, good person of character. You will find some of this market not to be the most educated book-wise, but they're full of life wisdom and experience. On the other hand, they will read you like a book because they got street sense when it comes to trust and credibility. Don't try to pull the wool over Miss Betty or Mr. Billy's eyes. Don't try to hoodoo someone. Don't try to think that they're not smart to figure out what's going on. Don't ever underestimate that. They're full of life wisdom, and they will read you like a book, and they will not want to do business with you. This market is typically not driven by a schedule. Miss Betty gets up late, eats breakfast late a lot of times, and may still be in her house coat at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've sold her many Miss Bettys in the afternoon with her still in her house coat and her hair in curls or whatever she got her hair in. She is just like that. And she wants to put me off, and I don't let her. No worries, Miss Betty. I'll only take a few minutes. No worries, Miss Betty. You look great. No worries, Miss Betty. I don't even have any hair. No worries, Miss Betty. We're good. Can we stand right out here? That's my bridge to Miss Betty right there. She typically loves The Price is Right, Judge Judy, Jerry Springer, and of course the Western Channel. If you don't know what those are, this is what I had to do in the long-term care market. I had to go get documentaries on the World War II generation. I had to read Tom Brokaw's book. I had to go check out books out of the library. I had to find out what they like so I could speak the language. So when Miss Betty says gun smoke, I know what she's talking about. She goes Bonanza, High Chaparral, the Big Valley. I know what she's talking about. If there are people throwing chairs on a TV show and fighting each other, I know it's Jerry Springer. And I got to jump right into that with Miss Betty. If Judge Judy's chewing somebody out, I got to jump right in there and like it with Miss Betty. If she's watching The Price is Right in the morning and we miss Bob Barker, we're going to watch the new guy, and I forget his name. And we're going to enjoy it. I'm going to speak her language. We're going to talk about all those things, from Matlock to all the detective shows with Perry Mason, whatever. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I would suggest, well, this is going to be on your TV when you walk in. Am I right or am I wrong, folks?
You're absolutely right.
Right? So get used to it. If you're a young person in your 20s and 30s, find out what that is. In this market, I rarely book an appointment any further than a day out. Most of my appointments are what I call day of phone calls and appointments. Make a note of that. Day of. That's key in this business. This Betty doesn't typically run by a schedule, except on the schedule she has is her doctor's appointment. Anything else, forget it. She flies out of the seat of her pants.
You know what show I watch with my clients, Gary?
Tell me.
I watch The Young and the Restless and the Bold and the Beautiful because I tape both of them. So I love talking to them about that. It's like, hey, you see what's going on? I said, you can watch that while I'm doing what I'm doing. It's so cool.
I love it, Janet. That's so great.
Jan is right. I see a lot of that on TV when I walk into a house. Of course, you see the Westerns. And I like you, I've gotten to know which ones are which. But
Yes.
she's right. I've seen Bold and the Beautiful. That's the main one that our clients like to watch.
I see the Young and the Restless a lot.
And it's their 50th anniversary this week. So they love talking about that stuff with you. They're like, really? You watch that too? So, hi, now you can talk about me when you go in there. You could build reports with me. Oh, yeah, my wife watches that crap.
I'm talking about you anyway.
Okay.
But not about those things. All righty. Through this method, most of my appointments are called day of. Through this method, I don't have to pound the phones and beat my head against the wall over the weekend, book up my week. Most of the time, I go into a new week with 0 appointments in the books and still can write 5 to 10K each week. Now, you don't do that with mortgage protection or long-term care or IULs. You can be doing some phone work probably on the weekends or the evenings. But with final expense, in my personal opinion, I walk in the week with probably 0 appointments, and I'm okay with that. I don't fret about it, worry about it, because I do day of appointments. In addition, when I can't reach Miss Betty on the phone, I will take the lead to the door and perform what I call hot knocks, which you folks are aware of. The beauty of this market, even this day and time, Miss Betty will answer the door, and when I show her the lead and present myself as a professional and trustworthy, she will allow me to come right in. Gotta love this market and this product. Here's our ending training for the day, and then we'll move on. There are key impact words and phrases that must be used on the phone, at the door, and during the presentation to close at a high level. Remember before I talked to you about tonality, body language, I talked to you about how to create this image and even do it starting on the phone, okay? And so what I'm gonna do right now is share with you a couple things on that, and then we're gonna move on from today and give you some homework, and then we will do a quiz next week. So here's what I do, okay? And I'm gonna share with you key impact words and phrases as well. That's going to make a difference in your presentation. Remember, words mean something to people. So, ring, ring, ring. Hello, Betty. Yeah, hey, this is Gary, Gary Keith with Senior Benefits. Oh, yes, ma'am. So right off the bat, I'm going to sound upbeat, but not overboard, not too energetic, but I'm also going to sound light and almost like she knows me. Hey, Miss Betty. Hey, this is Gary, Gary Keith. With Senior Benefits. Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm the one that's getting back with you about a little card you'd mailed in recently. So notice what I just did there. I'm creating some curiosity in Miss Betty's mind. Remember your words and what you say. Remember the psychology of the sale. And there's a lot of psychology behind this. Betty, Gary Keith, almost like she should know me. Miss Betty, Gary Keith with Senior Benefits. Yes, ma'am. I'm the one that's getting back with you. Back with you? I mean, did we have a conversation before? She's going through the Rolodex in her brain. Where did we meet? How do I know this guy? Did we talk on the phone before? A lot of psychology behind that. I'm getting back with you about a little card. Now, notice how I said little card. I'm starting to paint a picture, Miss Betty, of something really small and tiny and kind of nonchalant. I'm getting back with you about a little card you'd mailed in recently about the state-approved final expense program for seniors. Now, I use the word state-approved. I don't use the word regulated. I'm not telling you what to say or what not to say. Regulated means nothing to nobody. I mean, that's just a word out there that's like, what? That's like the word that has no meaning. But state approved, and all these programs are approved by the state. They have to be to sell them. So I changed that word to approved for me because psychology, approved means the state approved it. So there's a lot of psychology behind that. I'm just getting back with you about a little card you sent in the mail recently, Miss Betty, about the state approved final expense program for seniors. Yes, ma'am. I was trying to make out what you put on the card here. Psychology of the sale. You're reading her writing. You're reading the card. You're also doing a little acting here. Another part of the psychology. So she's thinking in her mind, what did I send in? Who did I send it to? Did I even really send anything? Is this a telemarketer? Can I trust them? Are they making up stuff? Blah, blah, blah. That's what's going on in Miss Betty's mind. So I got to read her mind and answer her question before she blurts it out. I didn't mail anything in. Well, I don't remember that. I got to hedge that off before I get there. I'm just trying to make out what you put on the card here, Miss Betty. It looks like if I can make this out, it looks like your date of birth is 2/10. Is that 52? Oh, it is. Oh, don't worry about your writing, Miss Betty. I got the same problem. Now I'm going to break some barriers, break some walls. So you're going to apologize. I'm so sorry. I can't write well anymore. I had a stroke 5 years ago, or I got Parkinson's, or I got horrible handwriting. Whatever she says, she's going to become vulnerable. And so am I. This is part of breaking the wall down. It's part of the psychology of the cell. Yeah, no worries, Miss Betty. Listen, I really wanted to be a doctor because my handwriting was so bad as a kid, but I wasn't smart enough. Ha ha ha. Breaking the barriers. Well, also, Miss Betty, it looks like if I can make this out, hear my tonality, I'm going to kind of go low. I'm going to go soft. I'm not too overbearing, especially with a female on the phone. Now, if she can't hear well, I may have to, but right now I'm doing good. It looks like you put down here, Miss Betty, your address is 1010. Is that it's Johnson Street. Now, whether I can read that clearly or not, I'm acting a little bit. It looks like that's 1010. That's Johnson Street. Okay, got it, Miss Betty. Thank you so much for helping me. I just want to make sure I had the right place. Now, listen, Miss Betty, here's a powerful psychology here. This is what's going to cause your appointments to hold up better. Better. Now, Miss Betty, so 1010 Johnson Street. Okay. Well, Miss Betty, listen, there's certain benefits that you're entitled to and qualify for on this program. Now, when you personally hear the word entitled to and qualify for, what comes to your mind as a person? Not as a salesperson, but as a human being. If you hear that on radio, TV, through a commercial, ad, someone says it to you, what comes to your mind? Put on the chat line. Sarah hit the nail on the head. I don't care who you are, how much money you make, where you live, what you have, what you don't have. If somebody tells you, now listen, there's certain things here that I'm not sure if you're aware of or not, but that you're entitled to, that you qualify for. You could be going to a department store and buying an appliance. And if the salesperson says that, your ears are going to perk up. All of a sudden, you're going to get more energetic, where that you were down and out and sluggish and trying to make coy and not like be too into it. But if you hear entitled to and qualify for, you're going to be like, huh? What is it? Well, there's a sale going on right now. There's 25% off on all these appliances. So you're entitled to that discount this weekend. And you also qualify for a 0% interest rate on this if you finance it through us this weekend. So you got 90 days, same as cash. Really? That sure makes it more enticing because my cash flow is a little tight right now. You are going to perk up. I don't care who you are, what you're doing, or what you're buying. There's been certain benefits that you're entitled to and that you qualify for. And I'm the local benefits coordinator here in Wake County. I use the county I'm working in, or in Durham County. I want Miss Betty to know I am local. I am not a telemarketer calling from Kalamazoo. That's going to send a message to her. Well, this is a homegrown boy. This is a boy that lives around here. This is a young man that lives in my neighborhood. This is great. This is not someone calling from somewhere else. Certain benefits that you're entitled to and qualify for, Miss Betty. And I'm the local benefits coordinator here in Durham County. My job is to get those benefits here for you, Miss Betty. I'm going to be seeing several of your neighbors today. Are you going to be there for a few minutes? You are? You're just sitting around watching The Price is Right? I love that show too, Miss Betty. Well, no worries at all whatsoever. Listen, I tell you what, my first name is Gary. Last name is Keith. I'll be in a white car. I'll come down Johnson Street. Are you in a house or an apartment? House? What color is it? Just brick. Okay, very good, Miss Betty. Well, listen, I'll tell you what, you put on the coffee, I'll bring the donuts. I'll see you in about 20 minutes. That's a day of, I love them. Oh, I love them. Day of phone call and appointment. Get it while it's hot. Why am I getting to the end of my presentation going, now listen, I got to be seeing several of your neighbors tomorrow and also Wednesday. Which day is best for you? Now in the long-term care market, yes. Run by schedule, work jobs, makes sense. Final expense market, no. In my personal opinion, no. Do what you want to. That's my personal opinion. The psychology of it says no. They're not going to be there. They're not. You want to make a lot of money in final expense, let her do day of appointments. I'll go see Miss Betty. I'll take my stack of leads. I'll pull over in a safe place in a grocery store parking lot or shopping center. Ring, ring, ring. Hello, Miss Betty. Hey, Gary Keith, Senior Benefits. I'm the one that's getting back with you about a little card you mailed on this week about a state approved final expense program for seniors. Yes, no, certain benefits you're entitled and you qualify for. I'm local benefits coordinator here in Durham County. And listen, I'm going to be seeing several of your neighbors today. Are you going to be there for a few minutes? You are? You sitting around watching Gunsmoke. Yes, ma'am. I love that program. Matt Dill, are you kidding me? And Festus and Ruth the donkey? Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what. I'm in a white car. You know, what color house are you? Okay, you're blue? Great. My first name is Gary. Last name Keith. I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Day of calls, day of appointments, all day long until you go through your whole stack. Then they're not there. Then you go do door knocking, which we'll talk about another time. But that's the psychology behind, in my personal opinion. I don't know everything in life, and there are different flavors and different sizes and different shapes. But I'm going to tell you, if you follow this one, in my personal opinion, professional opinion, you're going to book some deal. Now they go, well, listen, you caught me at a bad time, and I can't do that right now. No worries, Miss Betty. I get it, and I get you probably ready out there. Just probably take about 10, 15 minutes, Miss Betty. Can I still see you in about 20 minutes? No, I gotta go to the doctor. No worries, Miss Betty. Listen, I gotta be seeing several of your neighbors today. I gotta be somewhere there around 1 to 2 today. What's better for you, 1 or 2 o'clock? I'm gonna book it same day still. I won't be back for the bus line until about 3. No worries, Miss Betty. I gotta be seeing several of your neighbors anyway in the neighborhood. Would somewhere around 4 or 5 be better for you? Same day. I am not going to tomorrow until I've exhausted pretty much every hour of this day. That's going to help you with keeping the appointments on the books better. It just will. Now, if I have to, I'll book it for tomorrow morning, knowing that 50% shot is not going to be there. Well, that's okay. I can do door knocks and do other calls. I'd rather for them to be there. But what's going to cause Miss Betty to be there? I'll end on this. I use the terms entitled to and qualify for. Those ring into her heart and her mind. That's going to increase my chances of Miss Betty being there. Okay. All righty. That's your training for tonight. Let me just pause for a minute. Comments, questions, thoughts, suggestions, anything before we want to log off here tonight about that you wanted to say, or any input from anybody. Yeah, I know what you mean, Danny. If you give them an answer to the phone, I know sometimes it's tough to answer the phone. That's why I do love final expense, because you can door knock the heck out of these things. So, yeah, there's one advantage way out versus the long-term care business. It was hard to door knock. Nicer neighborhoods, they would open the door. But yes. Off topic, Michael wants to know, has anyone ordered Heartland leads? Anybody? Very good. Everyone's on a standing lead order is on Heartland leads. I think they're probably one of the best direct mail lead pieces I've ever used in my career. Really. I mean, they're that good. They're really solid. Really solid, Michael. Are they perfect? No, but boy, there's a lot of interest in them. You're welcome. Anybody else?
Hey, Gary, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So earlier you were talking about as far as, creating the connections with the customer, as opposed to, out there just pounding, trying to get customer after customer after customer. At what point, or shall I say, early in your career, when you're just trying to create, that consistency, is there a point where, and I know you should always make connections with the customers, but is there a point where you need to just get into that repetition of just trying to see customer after customer to try to create some type of routine or consistency. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, you're right. Numbers is your friend in the beginning when you're trying to build your database of clients, that is for sure. I guess my point was on that, maybe it's along the lines what you're thinking. Make sure you love the one you love the one you're with, meaning don't just get so fast out of that house after that sale that you're so busy rushing to the next one that you don't take the time to post close it, cool it down, get referrals, leave magnets behind. I left coffee mugs behind for years. And that was my calling card. It had my name and number on it because they wouldn't lose a coffee mug. I love the one I'm with. I stop by and see them every now and then when I'm in the neighborhood in between appointments. Even your first 30, 60, 90 days a year, you create that environment or that habit or that atmosphere, and it keeps those people in the books. And then at the end of the year, you go back and do a policy review and you increase the sales and you get more referrals. So yeah, branding in the beginning is important, even though you're going through a lot of numbers right now. Loving the one you're with right now is really important. So just taking your time and slowing down a little bit. People have the misconception because final expense is such a lower premium and perhaps a easier sale that they can just kind of blow right through it and go to the next one. It's really not true. This is a little bit tougher sale to keep on the books because of Miss Betty's on a tight budget. The agent oversold it. Miss Betty's eyes gets too big. She bought too much. You didn't read between the lines. Now you're busy trying to get business back on the books, trying to get the chargeback monster off your back. So that's the slowing down process I'm talking about. And then my post close, I even asked Miss Betty, and Miss Betty, listen, you chose to plan today for X amount of dollars. If you can't afford this, tell me now before I leave. And we go through a budget and things like so. Slow it down, love the one you're with, and don't be so big of a hurry to get out of there.
Great points, Gary. I definitely appreciate that. That's something that I'm guilty of. Early in my career, like 10 years ago, when I first started in this industry, I was always looking for the sale, and I probably oversold 80% of what I put out there because chargebacks and things. But that's good information.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate your insight.
Less is more when it comes to premium.
Yes, sir.
You're
Yes,
you're
sir.
better off putting them in a little bit less and then going back 3-6 months later and getting them another one.
Amen, Rob. Amen, Rob. That's why you keep in touch with them, because you see 6 months later, gosh, Miss Betty's been paying on time. And you go back and you see her and she goes, you know what, Miss Betty, we talked about you want to do the 15,000, but we brought it down to the 10. Are you in a position now you will reconsider the extra 5,000? Because you've seen she's got good habits now and she's in a trend. So yeah, I'm with you, Rob, on that. Take your time, love the one you're with, and don't oversell it. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions? All righty, ladies and gentlemen, this has been awesome. It's been amazing. It's been great. I hope you've learned a thing or two. I hope that you have at least grabbed a nugget or 2 or 3 that you can apply in your business. I hope you'll practice the voice inflections, the tonality, the slowing it down, the getting into the heart of it, the using those psychology words of and the mindset words of things like you're entitled to, you qualify for, Miss Betty, are you going to be there for a few minutes, and just using those and practicing those things. That's your homework this week, is to take that phone script I just shared with you and make that a part of who you are, and try the word state approved. There's some clout in my mind that goes with that, and to see if that can help you a little bit. Until we meet again, same time, same station next week. Good luck and good selling out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey guys, just real quick, this will be posted on mylifetraining.biz on the new video library. So if you want a copy of it, it will be there probably tomorrow or tomorrow night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Gary. Have a good
Great
one.
job,
Thank
Gary.
you.
Thank you.
Great job. Bye.
Thank you.